What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, hosted the Behind the Bench podcast networking channel, giving a shout out to the rest of the crew. Shad, Kelvin, Jermaine, KB Film Room, Big Dog Talk Sports. That's right, that's right. Everyone who's tuning in, thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Subscribe to the channel, help make this show the best that it can be. And I know I may sound dry right about now, monotone, with lack of enthusiasm, man, but we're about to go through this again, man. And the same drudgery. It's the same drudgery, man. Just think about this, people. Think about this. They want to stage this GOAT debate, right? This is a player, NBA player, who said this had to be around 2016, 2017, somewhere around that year. I'm chasing the ghost of Chicago. Chasing the ghost in Chicago, who achieved more in a shorter period of time with less elite offensive laden talent around him in a higher degree of difficulty. He achieved twice as much in 50% of the time and retired at the age of 30 because he said he felt he had no more challenges, meaning he conquered the sport of basketball. He went to go play another professional sport, or just a sport period that he had not competed in since his high school days. And if it wasn't for Major League Baseball going on strike and Major League Baseball shutting down the season in 1995, the Ghost of Chicago would have continued playing baseball. And I believe, based on my observation of watching him play with the Birmingham Barons and the Scorpions, the double and triple A team of the Chicago White Sox, based on what his manager said, Terry Francona, who went on to manage the Red Sox during the 2000s and led them to multiple World Series championships. He said Michael Jordan would have accomplished his goal of becoming a Major League Baseball player in less than 2 years. And we sitting here still having this debate. And this is the main reason why this guy is continuing to play. This is why. And he is about to begin his 8th season on my squad. And I got to go through another year of hype, drudgery, inconsistent play, talks of who's going to be traded, who needs to be brought up in here by mid-season and give them a chance to make a run for the championship. It's been the same formula since year one. Well, actually, year one, that was the year where, they would really begin clearing out the deck for him. Firing head coaches, eventually, eliminating 13, 14 draftees. It was really 14 by the time he finished up. And even the player who you mortgaged, gave up the ghost to get in Anthony Davis, he's no longer on the team. And I knew he, when they said that Anthony Davis was going, he was entering his prime. He was the same age as Luka Doncic, 26 years old. You know, they gonna hand the keys over to AD. You know, he gonna lead the franchise into the future as LeBron gets older. You know, and he gonna retire a Laker. I didn't believe in either statement. And now this guy, he refuses to retire. And mind you, his impact as far as what they think leads to championships, man, that that really ended, and let me put it this way, it culminated in a bubble championship. Let's just say, I just say a bubble. It culminated in a bubble, right? But it was a byproduct of opening the door to mortgaging a decade off and throwing all the chips in the middle of the table for 1 year. And it was always contingent on what you put around him. Because if that was not the case, they would not have been led to cast out the real players of the future. And I get the impression that a lot of people believe that this organization cannot move forward, cannot succeed, cannot establish themselves without this dude on the team. So basically, as I've been saying the whole time, the longer he wears the uniform, the more moves they're going to be led to make, because it's almost like it's set up as if it's his birthright to have a stacked deck. It wasn't a birthright for Michael Jordan. It wasn't a birthright for Giannis Antetokounmpo. It wasn't a birthright for Kobe Bean Bryant. It wasn't a birthright for Nikola Jokic. It's not a birthright for Steph Curry. It wasn't a birthright for Larry Bird. Because when you look at Larry Bird's career, once they built that team up in the early '80s with McHale and Parrish, drafting McHale and trading for Robert Parrish, do you realize they were teammates for the whole, pretty much until the end of Larry Bird's career, which ended in 1992. It wasn't like Boston was, shape shifting their roster every year. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like Bird was going to the front office like, man, hey, y'all need to do this, y'all need to do that. And we know about what happened to Len Bias and Reggie Lewis. That set the franchise back, throughout the entire decade of the '90s. Once Bird retired and McHale moved on and Parrish moved on. But at the end of the day, he's going to stick around, man, until the Lakers literally have no more. Because other teams across the NBA, they know they don't need that nonsense. They don't need to fork over the road and give up the ghost, because it's not going to guarantee anything. Actually, it will guarantee that you lose, and that your future is pretty much null and void. Cleveland don't need that. They won 64 games last year. They just had to improve within, make key little improvements. Nothing major where you overhaul the whole roster. Houston, number 2 seed last year. They got some taste of playoff basketball with their young players, and they took Golden State 7 games. So it wasn't like they got swept, or gentlemen swept. Think about it. They win 7 games in the first round as upstart team. The Lakers with this dude on the team supposed to be all time win now, and they getting doused in the first round 2 years straight. And see, what I hate about this whole situation is Kobe Bean Bryant knew he was at the end, at the end of his Achilles and everything. Man, Kobe Bryant could have went to another team if he wanted to pursue another championship. But he identified, he knew he was a Laker. He played his whole career for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I knew he would never leave to try to, get a sixth championship in a way where it's obvious that's the only reason why he's trying to hold on. So what I'm saying is, man, what he's doing is unfair to the franchise. It's unfair to the league because he knows the league's gonna try to capitulate to him to force the organization to continue to make moves, continue to mortgage. They've mortgaged their future off so bad to where they were willing or had to found themselves in a position where to facilitate a trade to bring in a center last year who was dealing with medical issues, they included a first round pick in 2031. And that trade was rescinded. And actually, the Laker Brad should be thanking the basketball guys for that one. Because of the asset. You gotta have something moving forward, man. You just can't deplete it all to try to go for it. That's not winning, that's losing. It's not a winner's mentality. With this dude on the team, I saw a talking head. This was during the 22-23 season when they was trying to force the Russell Westbrook trade. They was literally begging for the Lakers to make a trade, give up at the time the 27 and 29 first round pick to bolster the lineup. They was begging for it, man. That's not a winner attitude. It's a loser mentality. You take that mentality and you go up against the mentality of Michael Jordan and you would get crushed. You would know that the series was over after the first game. So I got to deal with this yet again. It's going to be the same nonsense, dog. They talking about trades right now. And what's crazy is they made 3 trades, leading up to this past season's trade deadline. They made 2 official trades, and they tried to complete a 3rd trade that was called back. And one of them trades included Luka Doncic. And they still talking about making more trades at the expense of the future of this franchise, dog. Because of one reason and one reason only. This dude is on the team. That's it. If you had your real squad, we wouldn't even be talking about making trades to this degree. We'd be excited about who we may draft. We'll talk about, what they can bring to the table, get excited about a young talent coming to the team. You know what I'm saying? When Shaq was traded in 2004 to Miami, do you know how the team primarily built itself up again? Or started they rebuild? They did it through the draft. They drafted Andrew Bynum, who was the youngest player ever to be drafted to the NBA. Then they drafted Sasha Vujacic, Jordan Formore. They started building up the bench. You had a young Luke Walton who had played 1 year in the NBA. And as they started to improve, then they brought back an original Laker in Derek Fisher. So the only person from that Shaquille O'Neal trade that was a key player for the eventual championship run of 08, 09, 010 was Lamar Odom. And then the final piece was Paul Gasol. So out of them 5 years, that 5-year rebuild, they made one key trade, or one what you would call a blockbuster trade. And that's Paul Gasol. This dude need round the clock maintenance to his team. I'm just being dead serious. And he's gonna come back again, dog. It's gonna be more talk. It's gonna be more hype. If he does this, if he does that, it's gonna be the same chatter, dog. And fans ought to get tired of it. They ought to get tired of it, man. But watch how it goes, man. He's still chasing Michael Jordan. And that's why I say, when he was brought to the team in 2018, we had all the assets that no other team had. We had the young talent. We had the cap space and the draft picks. And they thought that he was being brought to a perfect situation where the front office can construct a super team, flip all the assets around, construct a super team for this dude to tie Michael Jordan in championships. That was the whole goal. And that's why he's trying to hold on, man. But what the talking heads don't understand is that the league done passed his game by. That driving kick, man. You know what I'm saying? That driving kick, man, where you need constant floor spacing. Man, that's been done. Think about it, people. That style of play been done. He lost back-to-back titles in his last 2 years in Cleveland. It wasn't like he was brought here coming off a championship. He was brought here coming off of 2 straight finals losses. That's a totally different reality. A gentleman sweep and a full-fledged sweep. And Golden State was not as quote-unquote dominant in 2018 than they was in 2017. They won 67 games in 2017. They won 57 games in 2018, so they was far from dominant. And Golden State struggled during the playoffs. So it wasn't like they was blowing people out of there. And he got swept by them in a gentleman sweep. And that's what they brought to the franchise. So his style of play, man, it requires constant change, roster upheavals, trade after trade, bringing in 5, 6 different players a year. It don't hold up. It's not conducive to actual championship basketball. And also it requires that he has 2 superstars around him. So here we go again. The same drudgery, the same low energy, no real excitement. They're going to continue the most manufactured, ill-advised, undeserved debate in the history of professional sport. So I just want to drop that nugget. Please leave your comments and thoughts. Hey, what can I say, man? But I'm going to be here, though. I'm going to be here, man. And when this is all over, man, you know, the Behind the Bench crew, we're going to break all this down when it's all over. We're going to break it all down from beginning to end. But until next time, people, thanks for tuning in. This is your boy, JB, for BTB, Behind the Bench.